Well, hey, welcome, guys. We are kicking off a new series this week called Timeout.
Yeah.
Got Pastor Jamie with me.
Hey.
Now, we were just talking a minute ago, like, you're not a big sports person, but you do have a pretty good story about the time you were the athlete. So share that with us.
Kinda. I got to be quarterback one play, but I played intramural football my last year of college, and I was a beast out there. The refs would always have to come and be like, Jamie, one more time and you're out on the field. And so, yeah, I loved intramural football. It was a ton of fun.
Never would have guessed, right? Our awesome youth pastor, Jamie, never would have guessed she had a little thug side to her, but that's okay. So we are kicking off this new series, and what this is really about is, like, who doesn't need this, like, a timeout every now and again?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so we get life gets stressful, gets busy, and so what we're looking at through this series is about how we can hear from God. What does God provide to us when it comes to maybe needing this time out? And I shared a message about time I went on vacation, and you go and you take this vacation, you're supposed to relax and enjoy yourself and do that reset. But what ended up happening is I didn't get any rest at all, and I came back just as tired, just as exhausted, because it's not about where you go.
Right.
It's about the weariness of life and how you feel. And so that's kind of where I kicked off the message this last weekend.
Yeah, you always feel more tired after coming back from vacation.
I'm sure you do. I'm sure you do.
Than when you do leaving. So, yeah, vacation, yes.
But the good news is that we looked at a passage in Matthew this week,
Yep.
Out of Matthew 11. Jesus speaking into knowing the things that we've gone through, knowing that life's hard, knowing that there's these things that are going to come, and he gives us this invitation in Matthew chapter 11. Can you share that with us?
Yeah, absolutely. So it says here, come to me, all who are weary and carry heavy burdens, and I will give you rest. Take my yoke upon you and let me teach you, because I am humble and gentle at heart, and you will find rest for your souls. For my yoke is easy to bear, and my burden I give you is light.
All right, so when we look at this, we start diving into it this week on Sunday. We learn it's not about taking a break.
Yes.
It's not about checking out or ignoring the responsibility. We don't just say, oh, I give up, I quit, I'm out. No, it's actually an exchange. And so Jesus here, he's inviting us to bring me your burdens, and I'm going to give you rest. And that's a pretty good trade, if you ask me. Like, that's the kind of trade I want to go with.
I know, it's the best. He doesn't just say, like, oh, you need to figure it out, or you need to try harder, but he's like it's, like you said, it's an exchange. He's offering something deeper for us. It's not just like a vacation rest, but it's something deeper that, like, our souls need and they want. So
yeah, very much. And so what does this actually look like? We talked through that this weekend, because we do need rest, but how do we actively live this out in our life?
Yeah, it's hard. It's a great question. So there's 3 different kinds of rest that we talked about, and that is so, so important. So there's spiritual rest, emotional rest, and physical rest. And they all kind of combine into one when we think about it as a whole. So yeah. Yeah,
the first one is that spiritual rest. So let's go through that, because I think that's the most intimate kind of rest, in my opinion.
Absolutely.
And it's just about stopping the endless striving and then learning to trust Jesus instead.
Yeah. I mean, Psalms 46:10 says this, be still and know that I am God. That's a command. We need to stand still. We need to know that he is God, and that in the midst of chaos in our brains, in the midst of chaos in the world, that we can find rest in him, knowing that, like, he isn't going to fail us, that he goes before us, and so that we can know that he's God, that he is good, so we can find rest in that.
Yeah, that's so good. And so for you, maybe that's starting your day with prayer. That's making sure we read our Bibles instead of scrolling on Facebook first thing in the morning, or just pausing in your day to remind yourself, hey, God's got this. And so then the next one is
emotional rest. So it's letting go what we can't, of what we can't carry. Emotional rest is so, so, so important. We carry so much, and we worry about so much, and we think about so much. If that's finances, if that's relationships, if that is whatever is, like, heavy and burden on you, we sometimes just need to let go of it and give it to God.
Yeah, I used a backpack, I think Pastor Travis as well, of carrying these heavy bricks, right? Yeah. And each brick's this burden of that stress, anxiety, this unforgiveness, and Jesus is saying, hey, hand this off to me. But a lot of us are walking around like, hey, nope, I got this. We're just going to tighten the straps up and then wonder why we're so exhausted is because we're carrying around all of these burdens. And so we asked a really challenging question this weekend, which was,
what's one thing that you are carrying on to that you need to give to Jesus? One area in your life, if that is, again, relationships, if that is financial need, if that is not knowing how someone's going to get out of the hospital, what is one thing that you can give to Jesus?
that's so good. Because I think we get wrapped up and we hold on to some of these things.
Yeah.
Because in our society, especially, or American society, it's about control and being in control.
Yeah.
The last one we did talk about, though, and this is a very important one just as well, it's that physical rest, because our body is meant to. Jesus modeled this. I mean, he took naps, my man, right? Like, I'm a big napper, love a guy who naps. He would regularly withdraw from crowds. Sometimes he just needed a break from people, right? And then he would tell his disciples, even Mark 6, he says, come away with me and rest. It was a very important component of what Jesus' life was.
I think some people think that resting is laziness, especially for people that love, like, are just hard working and are always on the go, where resting just feels like, oh man, I'm being lazy, I'm not doing anything. But another side of that is trusting the Lord with your time. You are resting with it. And so you can't run on empty forever. You need to rest. I mean, when you think of Jesus, in the first 7 days, he rested on the last day.
Yeah.
And so we need to do that as well.
Yeah, it's getting that real sleep. It's getting time to reset in our week. There is the business of life that's going to come. Dad got 3 kids, and I understand that. But we got to have those boundaries that say, nope, I'm going to slow things down. Yep. So I want to get practical. Here's some, beyond the one burden a week that you can turn over to Jesus. Pastor Jamie mentioned that. That's one thing we can do. Another thing we can do is find rest in other areas of our life.
Yeah, so what's one small step you could take towards like real rest? Maybe it's trusting God in something that's stressing you out, or it's just saying no to a schedule. Maybe it's like, oh, I block out areas in your schedule to, I'm going to just have family time, or I'm just going to rest here, or I'm going to do something that fills me up and that I find rest in here. And so you can say no to other things that maybe drains you, that maybe takes a lot out of you. And so what are some things that you can do in that area?
That's good. So remember this week, as you guys jump into conversations, group leaders, we're going to turn over to you here in a second. Like, rest isn't found in a vacation, though vacations are good and important. But it's found in a person. It's Jesus. Yeah. He doesn't just offer rest. He truly is that rest. And so if we're exhausted, if you're tired, if you're worn out, maybe it's because you're carrying things you're not meant to carry.
Absolutely. All right, guys. Well, that's it for today's discussion. We love you and have an amazing week.